When they try to break you, don't scream. When they lie on your name, don't explain. And when they plot your downfall, don't react. Rise. Let them wonder why you're so calm. Let them feel powerless in the silence you wear like a crown. Because true power doesn't scream, it watches, it plans, and then it wins. They'll poke at your pride, they'll try to press your buttons. And the first instinct? Defend your ego. Prove you're not the weak one. Prove you're not the one to mess with. But let me tell you this. Protecting your ego might win the moment, but protecting your energy, that wins your future. Every time you argue to prove yourself right, you're spending a currency that isn't easily refunded. Your peace. Think about it. You walk into a room and someone throws shade at you, tries to belittle you in front of others. The ego, it rises up, itching to clap back, to sting louder. But your energy, it starts leaking the moment you step into their chaos. And chaos is contagious. You don't fight every dog that barks. Why? Because the lion doesn't respond to noise, it responds only to purpose. Imagine being at work. Your colleague constantly tries to outshine you by twisting facts or throwing you under the bus in meetings. You feel that fire build in your chest, right? But if you respond every time, you're drained, distracted, and dancing to their drumbeat. Instead, protect your energy, keep showing up, doing the work in excellence, and let your results speak louder than your reactions ever could. Sometimes in relationships too, ego gets louder than love. You want to have the last word. You want them to know they hurt you. But what's the cost? Nights of overthinking, days of anxiety, and months of holding on to emotional toxins just because you needed to win the argument. That's not power. That's slavery to your own ego. Let them think you didn't notice. Let them believe they had the upper hand. You're not losing. You're learning when to preserve your peace. Protecting your energy doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you choose what's worth your attention, your emotion, your reaction. You're no longer a puppet to provocation. Think of someone cutting you off in traffic. You can haunt, scream, and carry that rage all day. Or you can take a deep breath, play your favorite song, and remind yourself, I'm not giving a stranger the keys to my peace. Every time you react to nonsense, you're giving away a piece of your light. And baby, your light is sacred. You don't have to chase every insult or respond to every betrayal. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. People who want to harm you don't actually want to defeat you. They want to drain you. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And the more you defend your ego, the more doors you open for them to enter your spirit. Start seeing your energy as a royal vault. Not everyone gets access. If someone's not uplifting, empowering, or inspiring you, they should have limited entry. You don't have to cut people off with drama. Just rise in silence and watch who can no longer reach your frequency. Because the moment you start guarding your energy like it's gold, your entire life upgrades. Ego seeks validation. Energy seeks elevation. Ego will get you applause. Energy will get you alignment. One burns out quick. The other builds you a fire that never dies. So, when you're tested, at home, at work, online, ask yourself, is this worth my energy or just my ego? That one question can save your whole day from emotional bankruptcy. Silence is often misunderstood. People think silence means surrender, that staying quiet means you're weak, powerless, or scared. But the truth? Silence is a calculated move. It's not the absence of a response. It's the presence of strength. It's not because you don't know what to say. It's because you know exactly what not to say. When someone tries to hurt you, when lies are whispered behind your back, or venom is spoken to your face, silence becomes your armor. Your calmness unsettles them more than any confrontation ever could. Think about it. You're at work and someone throws shade at you in front of the boss, trying to humiliate you to make themselves look better. You know what they did. You feel the heat in your chest. Every bone in your body wants to expose them. Clap back, make it known. But then you pause. You look at the situation, not through your emotions, but through your wisdom. You choose silence, not because you can't fight back, but because you know the truth always finds its way. And when it does, your dignity will speak louder than your defense ever could. Look at the people who constantly argue online, defending their name at every turn, replying to every critic. They look exhausted. They're always drained because they're fighting battles that silence would have already won. See, when you're truly powerful, you don't engage in every fight. You select your battles. And often, the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Let's say you're in a relationship and your partner starts pulling away. Maybe they're playing games. You feel ignored, undervalued. The old you might have begged for answers, cried for validation, to try to fix what's already breaking. But now you've grown, you've learned. You stay silent, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. Because if they wanted clarity, they'd offer it. If they valued you, they wouldn't keep you guessing. Your silence is no longer silence. It's a declaration. I will not beg for love. I will not compete for attention. I will not explain my worth. When someone insults you, provokes you, disrespects you, your silence is a mirror. It forces them to look at their own reflection. It reveals their immaturity, their insecurity, their need for control. You don't need to validate their drama with a response. Your silence echoes louder than your words. It's the type of silence that doesn't just end conversations. It ends patterns. Even in friendships. Suppose someone you trusted suddenly switches up, gossiping behind your back, throwing subtle jabs. You hear about it, everyone's watching to see your reaction. But instead of confrontation, you retreat. Quietly, gracefully. You start pulling back your access. You start protecting your energy. You don't send a long text. You don't ask for explanations. You let silence do the talking. That silence doesn't create confusion. It creates respect. And people start realizing you don't tolerate nonsense. You outgrow it. Real queens, real warriors, real kings. They don't shout. They observe. They study. They protect their peace like royalty protects the throne. Because in a world where people are addicted to noise, silence is intimidating. It's rare, it's misunderstood, but it's powerful. People are not used to others who can sit still, respond with grace, and walk away without chaos. That's why your silence unsettles them. Because it forces them to confront themselves. And that's the one thing they're trying to avoid. There is a rare kind of power in those who can observe everything and still react to nothing. It's not indifference, it's not weakness. It's wisdom, matured through experience. Because when you reach a certain level of growth, you don't need to scream, prove, or defend. You watch. You study. You understand the game. And you learn how to win it without ever losing yourself in it. In a world where everyone reacts instantly, on impulse, out of insecurity, or from ego, the one who stays calm becomes the most dangerous one in the room. Imagine you're at a family gathering and a relative who always tries to get under your skin throws a subtle jab. Maybe they mock your job, your relationship status, or your life choices. Everyone looks at you, expecting a clap back. But instead, you smile. Not because you agree, but because you understand. You've seen this pattern before. You don't need to react. You're not here to educate people who are committed to misunderstanding you. So you observe, you store it, you rise above it. And in that moment, your silence makes them shrink. Because your non-reaction says more than any words ever could. Or think about being in a relationship where your partner is emotionally immature. They want to trigger you, test you, push your buttons, just to see you break. Maybe they bring up past mistakes or flirt with disrespect just to get a rise out of you. And the old version of you would have exploded, cried, begged, argued, but now you've evolved. You simply observe the behavior, analyze the motive, and ask yourself, is this someone who adds peace or chaos to my life? You're not reacting because you're not attached to convincing someone to treat you right. You're too focused on protecting your spirit. In the workplace, maybe your colleague tries to steal credit for your work or constantly interrupts you in meetings. You could call them out in the moment and cause a storm. Or you could watch, gather evidence, let them keep showing their true character while you quietly build credibility with your results. And when the time is right, when the truth becomes undeniable, you let your excellence expose everything. Because you were too busy rising to be distracted by reacting. This doesn't mean you allow disrespect. It means you outsmart it. You don't give people the blueprint to your emotions. You don't hand over control of your day to someone who doesn't even value your presence. That's why you observe, you collect patterns, not apologies. You notice tone, energy, consistency. You watch how people treat others, not just how they treat you. You pay attention to how they behave when they think you're not watching. That's how you outsmart them. You don't want it to do you up for nothing. You don't confront everything, because some things aren't worth bringing energy to. You simply adjust access. You let distance deliver the message. Even online, the temptation is always there to respond to hate, to correct misinformation, to defend your truth. But remember this, when they go low and you go silent, you're not ignoring the war, you're winning it on a battlefield they can't even reach. Because you're not trying to be understood by people who lack the capacity. You're not trying to correct every false narrative. You're letting your character speak. You're letting time speak. You're letting truth reveal itself. And when you move like that, when you observe everything and react to nothing, you become the kind of person who makes others uncomfortable, not by shouting, but by being completely unaffected. Because there is nothing more unnerving to a manipulator, a hater, or an insecure soul than someone who doesn't give them the reaction they crave. And in that stillness, in that pause, in that unshaken presence, you claim back your power, powerfully, completely, quietly. They expect you to crumble. They expect you to fall apart. Because when they hurt you, but what they didn't know is this: you don't show pain, you show progress. You don't post your breakdowns, you build breakthroughs. You don't explain what they did to you, you evolve so loud they hear your healing without you ever having to speak. You've got to understand, pain is part of life. People will hurt you, intentionally or unintentionally. You will get disappointed, betrayed, overlooked. But the real question is, what will you do with that pain? Will you carry it like chains, or will you use it as fuel to become someone they never saw coming? Imagine a woman in a toxic relationship. She gave her all. Loyalty, love, time. And in return, she got lies, gaslighting, and betrayal. She could have stayed stuck in tears, explaining to the world how much she was wronged. But instead, she took her pain and transformed it. She started working on herself, physically, emotionally, spiritually. She started showing up differently. New energy, new peace, new purpose. People asked her what happened, and she just smiled. Because the truth was, she didn't get revenge. She got results. You don't owe anyone your pain. You don't owe the world a broadcast of your brokenness. Some things are meant to be healed in silence and revealed through success. When you're dealing with pain, maybe from loss, heartbreak, failure, you don't have to prove that you're hurting. You just need to prove that you're growing. Every day that you wake up and choose not to give up, not to fall into the same cycles, that's progress. And progress is power. Take the example of a student who failed an important exam. It was loud. The old version of him would have sulked, given up, disappeared. But not this time. This time he locked in, studied harder, asked for help, changed his routine. And when he came back with top scores in the next semester, he didn't post a revenge quote. He posted his certificate. That's how you show progress. Not by explaining the pain, but by elevating through it. Pain makes people curious. They want to see how broken you are. They want to measure your damage. But imagine disappointing them by showing up healed, happy, glowing. Imagine walking into a room where people expected you to be fragile, and instead they find you focused. That's the revenge they never saw coming. There's a girl who was mocked for her weight all her life. Bullied in school, laughed at in college. She used to cry behind closed doors.